Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be going over something a little bit different. We're actually just going to be talking about a technique rather than the full case. As you can see, a little calcified on that x-ray right there. And as we get going, you'll notice I've already done most of the access. And that's because this patient I wasn't planning on recording for. She was anxious is a nice word. She was a pain. I ended up sedating her, had to see her for 2 visits. It was a bit of a mess. And of course, the case was calcified. But dropped into the palatal really quickly, but the reason I started recording is I realized this would be a really good video to show my technique for how we work through these calcified cases, finding everything. So could not get a stick in any of the buckles. Thankfully found the palatal really quickly. A few takeaways here is it's really important to have a standardized system. You want to keep things simple. And there are a lot of endodontists I know who have multiple drawers full of every file under the sun, and they use one for this and one for this and one for that. And I prefer to keep things kind of standardized if at all possible. So we're going to go through my standard process here of how to find these canals in a really calcified case. First thing you need to do is the troughing. You've already seen that. You'll see it again. Don't worry. We'll go through it a lot in this video. I'm going to use the workhorse burr, and that one is going to be the 850-012. I do it dry. I do it in an air speed because I get better tactile feedback. And what I've always said, and you go back and look at my old videos, and this is what I teach the residents too, you don't want to push apically with this. Anytime you trough, what you want to do is brush laterally. I've already found what kind of had that little white spot you saw right where MB1 would be. I already kind of found where I think it's going to end up, and I did find the palatal. In your mind, take a line, draw it from MB1 to the palatal. Then move slightly to the mesial as you kind of curve around that, almost like you're drawing a comma. That's going to be the best way to trough and pick up that MB2 along the way. The MB2 is almost always mesial to the line between MB1 and palatal. Hopefully you can visualize that. Drop a comment below if you need me to kind of draw this for everybody here. But that's what you're trying to do as we're troughing. So you'll see me just slightly move off to the mesial as we're going through this process. And you don't want to go far apically. I might go down 1/10 of a millimeter at a time, and it's all that lateral forces. It's just gently removing the top part. Okay, so that's the first thing, is we're going to trough with a high-speed burr with no water and go in small increments using the anatomy that we found. That was actually more complicated now that I said that all out loud. All right, next step. You need to get everything really, really dry inside there.
How dry do you want it?
When you have the small little start of a canal, what you'll notice is that it's going to accumulate debris because the canal goes apically, whereas the rest of the floor should be nice and smooth. The way we do this is by using those Stropco air water syringes. If you don't have these, highly, highly recommend getting them. It's one of the things that I brought with me to every office that I worked at because I cannot work with the regular air water syringes. They're terrible. They are designed great for general dentistry. They are terrible for endo. So you want to have these. And on my cart, I have both an air water one and then one that is air only. Now, the cool thing about these is they have a little lure lock component to it, so you can put whatever tips you want inside there. We buy the etch chips, I think 1,000 at a time, so they're not very expensive. But what that does is it gives you the precision to place the water and the air exactly where you want it to be. I also have an air only one. If you have the water and air combined, it does work well. The problem is the air part can sometimes still have water spurt out, and the key is you need this floor to be completely desiccated. If there's any water left, you can't see the color changes that will tell you where you need to go. It's really important that after you rinse out with the water, you come back in with the air only to really dry it out nicely, and then once you find those spots, you can start picking away at it. Now, if you are still having problems with this, instead of using water, sometimes EDTA works well. As it chelates the calcium, it'll pull up a lot more of the debris. If you don't have the Stropcos, I would actually use the EDTA instead and then just dry with a regular syringe. Some of you might be saying, okay, what about air embolisms? That sounds scary. And that is a thing that can happen. The good news is with these Stropcos, we've done 2 things to help prevent it. Number 1, we turn down the air pressure on these. I don't need a ton of pressure because it has to go 3-4 millimeters because I can put it directly inside there. So it's not like I have a super soaker inside there. It's really gentle. The other thing is, if you look at the size of that etch chip, it's not producing a lot of air out of there. It's really, really skinny. So you're not creating a lot of pressure. Knock on wood, I've never had an air embolism with these, and I don't plan on it. I've had friends who have had it, and they were either using a traditional air water syringe or they had the assistant side do it. And if you look at the assistant one, that has a lot more pressure, and we use a much larger gauge tip on there. But the assistant ones never go inside the canal. They're actually used for rinsing around the outside portion, and so they don't create nearly as much pressure there. Those are the first two things. Trough using the 850 workhorse spur. I almost said that right there. A little bit of offness. For those of you who are new to the channel, I can't say the word workhorse very well. I don't know why. It's a thing. So trough using the workhorse and then dry it really nicely. Okay, next step, we need to use that 8C to peck in there. I prefer the 8 over the 6 or the 10. And of course, C files are way better for this than K. I don't even own 6, 8, 10 K file. I guess I do own the 10, 25 length for that. Doesn't matter. The C files are stiffer, and so it allows you to put a little more pressure apically without them bending. And what you're trying to feel is for a little bit of a stick. You don't want to do this with something thicker like a 10, 15, or God forbid, an Endo Explorer. Don't use Endo Explorers for this. It's a bad way. You can create your own, just don't do it, okay? 6s, however, are a little too wimpy. They bend really easily. I do have them, and I will pull them out every now and then, but most of the time, the 8 is that Goldilocks file where it has enough stiffness, but it's not too big, and so it tends to be the one that works best for me. I have faculty members who I respect greatly and love a 10. I have other faculty members who love a 6, so try it out. I'm not saying my way is the only way, but it's really important to find what works best in your hands. Now, you'll notice with all of this, I'm using those file forceps, and that's really important here. The size of these things are really, 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 really tiny. If you have your fingers in the way, you're not going to feel it. You're going to get lucky every now and then, but you're not going to be able to feel it. By having the file forceps, you move your fingers out of the way, and you're able to actually see where you're going. So that's the other key there is use the file forceps, use a skinny file, figure out which one you want. Don't use K files, they're terrible, and just use a C file and kind of go from there. Okay, we've troughed, we've dried, we've found a stick. What do we do after this? This is where we're going to come in with the rotary files. And a lot of you are going to be yelling at your screen saying, what are you talking about? You have to get a hand file to the apex before you put a rotary in there. And that might be how you've been taught. And the reason they teach you that is because you're not doing cases like this. That's the way that they teach dental students, because it's safer to make sure you have a clear glide path all the way down to the bottom. But if you're watching this, well, if you're a dental student, thank you. Drop questions, tell me where you're from. But this is how I do it, and it works much better. Remember, if you have a hand file, you're going to compact debris and you're going to block yourself out of the canal. Rotary files pull up debris and make it much, much, much easier to get inside there. I tend to use 17 as my primary, and just you're not creating a lot of pressure. A lot of people have asked me, how hard do you push? Are you pushing hard for this? And the answer is no. The amount of pressure I'm putting is just enough so that the file doesn't bend. So you can test this. Take whatever orifice opener you want to use. If it's a 1504, 1704, 13, whatever it be, don't use SXs or anything like that for these types of cases. And you're going to take it, put it on the table and press. And you'll see it bends really quickly. You want to use less pressure than it takes to bend. And really what I'm doing is just really gentle pecks and feeling for it to grab. Once it grabs, I'm then moving in an up and down motion. Every time it starts to grab, you pull back. Hopefully that makes sense. If you want more on that, please drop a comment below. I know this is all kind of tough to go over video even with this without me showing you in person and without me kind of like holding your hand. It's tough to tell. After we get the 17, switch to the 20. It's a little bit thicker. It's an 06, so it is a little bit stronger, so you can put a little bit more apical pressure. I have found that there are some cases where the 17 doesn't go, but the 20 does, and some cases where the 20 doesn't go and the 17 does. It's really important to have both a different size tip and a different size taper, because it's going to grab the canal in different ways. I forgot, actually may have been Stropko who said that. Give me 2 files with 2 different tapers and 2 different size tips and I can do any root canal. And that's a good way to do that. And at this point, we're pretty much close to done here. And that's because I'm doing the gentle wave on this one. So hopefully that was a kind of helpful thing for going through it. Just to recap, first thing you want to do is trough, dry with an 850 or something long and skinny diamond. Don't go to push apically. Troughing is a lateral motion. use the existing anatomy, and if you have it, the cone beam, so you can have a rough idea of where you need to go. After you've troughed, it's important to dry the canals very, very well. The way we're going to do that is by using the strop codes, because we can feel comfortable putting the tips inside the actual chamber. And if you have it, an air only is a really, really, really good tool. It's not that expensive to add to a cart, by the way. All of them have air. That's all you need, is you need an air input. It would probably cost you $200-300 to add to a cart. That's not that much, and it makes a huge difference in cases like this. We use the etch size tips with those so that they're nice and skinny as well. Once everything's nice and dry, look at the floor. You're going to want to try and find any white spots that are sticking out. Those are areas where you could have canals, because it's more likely to have debris accumulate in those areas. After you start to feel that nice little stick with 8C or 10C or whatever your preference is, go in with your first file that's going to open it up. You don't want to press apically. You want the file to grab and tell you that that's you're finally inside there. Rinse, rinse, rinse. In this case, I rinsed with just water because we ended up using the gel wave, as you can see as I'm making the platform. But you can use EDTA. If you are not accustomed to using EDTA with hand files, please be careful here. This is why I don't do a ton of hand filing, is because if you push too hard apically, you can lead yourself out, and it's a huge mess. On a calcified case like this, to get around a ledge, it's an absolute mess. You don't want to deal with that. I have a few video on ledges. The next time I get a good solid one, I'll definitely post it, but most of my referrals don't start their own cases and send them to me. Most of them are good enough to say, oh, this one's gonna be too difficult for me. And then the final thing is, go in with your rotaries, switch out between the two different sizes if you're having difficulty, and that should be pretty much what you guys do. That is my system. That's the way I keep it nice and simple. We do the same thing every time and kind of go from there. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful to all of you. Here is the final x-ray. I didn't record the rest of it because the patient was definitely difficult, but we were able to get everything taken care of here. Let me know if you guys want more of these like technique specific videos. This was kind of a fun one for me to just focus on one part of the root canal. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you all next time.